Egypt-J&R Ministry for kids. Today's story is Joseph in Egypt. And today's story, we are going to learn about dreams that have meaning. Joseph had been sold by his own brothers as a slave and was taken to Egypt. He was sold to a man named Potiphar, who was one of the Pharaoh's officials. A slave has to do everything his master tells him to do, but he never gets paid. Joseph worked hard in Potiphar's house. But even though Potiphar was his master in Egypt, Joseph knew that God was his true master. He was always honest and tried to do things the way God would want him to. Soon, Potiphar trusted Joseph so much that he put him in charge of his entire household. Joseph was even in charge of other slaves and told them what to do. He made sure that the other slaves took good care of Potiphar's wife. But Potiphar's wife was not a good woman. She wanted Joseph to be her boyfriend, but Joseph knew that was wrong. She was already married to Potiphar, and it would be wrong to be her boyfriend. One day, when no one else was in the house, Potiphar's wife grabbed Joseph's cloak and said, "Come to bed with me. No one will know." But Joseph had integrity. He wanted to do the right thing, even if no one else could see him. He knew that God could see him. Joseph ran away from Potiphar's wife so fast that he left his cloak. Potiphar's wife was very angry with Joseph. She told lies to Potiphar. Then she held up Joseph's cloak and said, "See, I have proof that he tried to attack me. He left his cloak in my bedroom." When Potiphar heard this, he had Joseph sent to prison. It was a sad day for Joseph. Even though Joseph was very sad to go to prison, he still tried to act the way God would want him to act. Soon the warden in the prison learned to trust Joseph too. He put Joseph in charge of all the other prisoners. Two men that were at the prison had been sent there by Pharaoh. Pharaoh was ruler of all Egypt. One man had been a cupbearer in the palace, and the other had been a baker. Each of these men had dreams and very upset by them. "Tell me your dreams," Joseph said. "God will help me tell you what dreams mean." The cupbearer had dreamed about a grapevine with 3 branches. In the dream, the cupbearer squeezed grape juice into a cup for the Pharaoh. Joseph was happy to tell him that this meant that in 3 days, the Pharaoh would let him out of prison and ask him to come back to work. When that happens, Joseph requested, "Please remember to tell Pharaoh about me." The baker dreamed about 3 baskets on his head. The top one was full of the bread and cakes that he had baked for the Pharaoh. As he was carrying the baskets, birds came and ate all the breads and cake. Joseph was very sorry to tell him that this meant that in 3 days the Pharaoh would have him put to death by hanging. After he died, the birds would eat his body. The baker was very worried. 3 days later, the Pharaoh had a big party for important guests. During the party, he called the cupbearer and the baker forward in front of all of his guests. He announced that the cupbearer would have his job back. He would be in charge of bringing wine to the Pharaoh. This was just as Joseph had said. But sadly, the meaning of the baker's dream also came true. Just as Joseph had said, Pharaoh announced that he was to be put by death by hanging. 2 years passed, and the cupbearer forgot about Joseph. One night, the Pharaoh had a dream. He really wanted someone to tell him what it meant. And that is when the cupbearer finally remembered Joseph. He told Pharaoh how Joseph had correctly interpreted his dream and that of the baker. So Joseph was taken out of the prison and brought to Pharaoh. When Pharaoh asked Joseph to interpret the dream, Joseph told him, I cannot interpret your dream, but God can interpret it for you." So Pharaoh explained what he had dreamed about. "I dreamed of 7 fat cows eating among the reeds. While they were eating, 7 scrawny, ugly cows came up and ate the fat cows. Even after they ate the fat cows, the last cows were still scrawny and ugly. Then I dreamed of 7 full and good heads of grain that sprouted, even 7 thin and scorched heads of grain. Then they sprouted and swallowed all the fat heads of grain. I have told these dreams to all my magicians, but none of them could tell me what they mean," the Pharaoh told Joseph. Joseph explained, "It is God who has given you these dreams to tell you what he is about to do. Both dreams mean the same thing. The 7 fat cows and 7 fat heads of grain represent 7 years of abundance, when crops grow well and there is extra food for everyone. The 7 scrawny cows and 7 scorched heads of grain represent 7 years of famine, when grain will not grow and there will not be enough food." Joseph continued, "During the 7 years of abundance, Pharaoh should put someone in charge so he can save and store all of the extra food. Then when the 7 years of famine come, the people in Egypt will have enough food and not go hungry." Pharaoh knew immediately that this was the true meaning of his dream. He put Joseph in charge of storing grain for all of Egypt. He gave Joseph his own ring and gold necklace. He also gave Joseph a chariot to ride on and told everyone in Egypt to follow Joseph's instructions. Joseph was only second to the Pharaoh in all Egypt. Pharaoh also chose a wife for Joseph to show him honor. So Joseph had come to Egypt as a slave, and now he was a wealthier leader of Egypt, second only to Pharaoh. Joseph had integrity in good times and bad. He wanted to do the right thing, even if no one else could see him. Joseph trusted God and knew that God was with him. Do you have integrity like Joseph?
Neha, it is I, Dave the Donkey, with the verse of the day. And today's verse is, "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself." Luke 10:27. And that's today's verse, kids. See you all next time with another verse of the day. Neha!